Everett Golson's leadership is going to be key. Brian Kelly is coming into his 5th year. Brian Kelly's a terrific offensive coach, and he's wearing a microphone. He's wired. We'll hear from him in just a little bit. No Notre Dame offense under Kelly has averaged 30 points and 450 yards per game. This offense seems to be the one that could reach the benchmark last met in the Charlie Weiss era. Could this be their best offense?
Well, don't forget that Charlie Weiss offense had Brady Quinn, a first-round draft pick, on that offense. And so that's really the question mark for me is how does Everett Golson, after a year off, how does he step into this role? And they're saying it's a quarterback competition. I'm not buying it. He has got to step up and become a playmaker and not just a game manager. When he was here before, when they ran the table, got a lot of help from Tommy Rece coming off the bench, but also they didn't ask him to do a whole lot. He made some great plays with his legs, but there is going to come a point in this season, and it always happens, where you have to put the team on your back through the air. You've got to throw the ball down the field. That's what I want to see if Everett Golson, if he's developed that aspect of his game.
Brian Kelly is wired. Let's listen in as the Fighting Irish with music blaring, cranking up practice.
So I moved it down here because I won't get the boot off. The naked boot.
So 4 is 6 and 6 is 4?
4 is 6 and 6 is 4. So the same thing here. 9 is 10, 10 is 9. So I flip the 2 boots. That way we get the boot off against regular coverage, and we throw the screen into the pressure. Good? Yep. That's the first run PAP.
Danny, they're going over the schedule here. Give us a little insight into the types of things that coaches adjust about the schedule.
I love what Brian Kelly was just doing there. He's talking over the script, today's practice, because every play that they're going to run from start of practice to the finish of practice is scripted out. And he's saying, hey, I want the bootleg versus this blitz. He might want to check and see if Everett Golson or Malik Zaire, the young quarterback, how do they respond if they're faced with a certain pressure? Do they know where to go with the football? Coaches will do this. They know exactly the area they want to test in their young players, and they'll create a practice to put those players in those types of situations.
It's a different situation for Everett Golson. As a freshman, got wide-eyed a couple of times. Brian made a comment a few days ago that when they went to the national championship game, Everett was riding the bus more than he was driving the bus. He sort of dismisses those types of comments now. It comes along with maturity. What types of things mentally will he have to handle if he wants to establish himself as a leader of this team again?
Hey, I thought Everett Golson handled that great, too. He kind of laughed it off and said, hey, that comment from Coach Kelly was more for you reporters. I'm just worried about what I have to go out there and do. And for me, it shows a maturity level. He's not falling susceptible. He didn't get baited into it. He didn't go into a hole and not want to compete. He's embracing the competition, and yet he's got to step in that leadership role. Don't forget, that team had strong leaders. Manti Te'o, the defensive line with Tuitt, and some of these other guys that were studs. Somebody needs to become a vocal point of this team. The defense, they're looking at a captain who could possibly be a sophomore in Jalen Smith. They need somebody on this team, on the field, and it comes from either side of the ball, and it has to come from the quarterback, in my opinion. That's just such a vital position that Everett Golson has to step up from a vocal standpoint.
In the defensive side that you mentioned, Jalen Smith is the only guy with a significant number of starts in the front 7. They're hoping for big things from Ishaq Williams, who's a defensive end. Final year of eligibility, came in as a highly touted recruit, but really hasn't had the type of career up to this point that they expected. Whether it's Williams, whether it's someone else, the front 7 loses a ton of guys, and if they're going to stand up against some of the offenses they're going to see in the schedule, the new defensive coordinator, Brian Van Gorder, has to be able to get some contributors that you don't know, that don't have a track record yet.
Okay, this is a bad combination. You've got a young defense, and you've got a brand new defensive coordinator. Don't forget their coordinator last year, Bob Biacco, he went off to take the UConn head job. So Brian Van Gorder is going to have to simplify things early in the season. Don't do a lot of things schematically, and you've got to rely on some athletes to go out there and play.
Let's listen in to Brian Kelly wired again.
If the mic is slow,
you can
I got to go out and be your abort player, correct?
No, I think we'll see it before it happens. I think we'll get out. We'll get out of it.
Out of the play.
Yeah.
I'm even working half days on my day off. Say it's gonna kill me.
So outlined against a gray, rainy August sky, Notre Dame horsemen are going to ride again. Practice. Our bus blitz is here in South Bend throughout the day. College Football Live later on. We'll also have much more later in Sports Center, including a visit with Brian Kelly as our Bus Blitz continues from the home of the Fighting Irish.